most oftentimes. These now are in cooler climates, really focus on grapes. There's so much to ferment out here. As we're walking around, you see the potential. And the focus of this event, community land access politics, really aiming to establish a bridge between agriculture, between foraging, and ferments and production. So that's what we're going to be doing today via a whole bunch of seminars, a bunch of workshops, and those are going to be spearheaded by Chris Renfro from the 280 Project, Kathleen and Justine from Calche, and our friend Noah, Noah, who's coming over here, who has a wine label called Deshanto with their partner Will. So thank you all for the work that you do. We have a couple of other producers over here. We have Ben back there, who's coming in here from Virginia, works with the Light Will Survey and Midland Wines. We have Alfie and Deanna back here. They have a project called Dear Native Grapes in upstate New York. And we have Todd back there from Wild Art Farms in Pine Bush, New York. If y'all have had a piquette in the US, you can go back and thank Todd personally. I'm really, really honored to have him here. So we have a whole bunch that we could talk about. We're not going to go as deep. If you need some deeper information, that's what today's about. We also have some reference points on our Instagram. But when we talk about ABV, it's not saying that the wine grapes that we have heard of do not have validity, because they do. What is vinifera? Vinifera is every single grape that y'all probably have heard of, every geeky native Italian grape, every far out Georgian grape, every really popular grape from France. It's all one family of grapes, one species, Vitis vinifera. Folks sometimes overlook that we have over 17 different varieties of native grapes in the US, 17 as opposed to the one species. If you think about biodiversity, if you think about health, diversity is health, diversity is healthy. If you think about agriculture, it's the same kind of tenets. So we have vines here that are so healthy and want to do well. And the point of this is to talk about where we can go to access those vines, access this fruit. And it's not Napa. It's not always Napa. It's not always Oregon, where land prices are crazy. I was looking at the cost to buy a house, and the top 3 cities were all in California. People are priced out. The thing is, it's not the only place that grapes grow, especially if we're talking about native and hybrid grapes. We can go to Wisconsin, we can go to North Carolina, we can go to Texas. And that opens up a world for people who want to access the space. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you would like to know more, if you want to talk about this more, the socio, political, economic impacts of all of this, we are here for it. If you just want to sip some wine and just marvel at what these grapes and fruits can do, we're here for that too. We have a tasting going on all day. Please enjoy yourselves. Please stay hydrated. Please be safe. Thank you. I'd like to welcome Bianca up for a little land acknowledgement before we open up into our first panels. I do want to say virtual tickets are still available. They are available through our bio. So virtual tickets for $10, and that goes along with all of the panels and seminars in real time and supports all of our future events. So thank you. Woo!
Good morning, everyone. I just want to say thank you for being here, for being in our space. This has been a really, really special couple of days. We're in the middle of it, and it just feels really good to be able to welcome everybody into our space. So I just want to say thank you. Very quickly, I want to be sharing a land acknowledgement that's been shared by the Love the Everglades Movement, which is a nonprofit organization for the Greater Everglades via Indigenous Solidarity. We are honored and privileged to be able to do this work on lands that have been cared for by many Indigenous communities of the past, present, and future, including our friends, the Council of the Original Nicosuke Seminole Nation of Aboriginal Peoples, the Seminole Tribe of Florida, and the Miccosukee Tribe of Indians of Florida. We encourage you to learn more about their environmental priorities and do your best to support our policies that integrate those conversation principles. One of the many reasons it's important to acknowledge the Indigenous communities of this land is due to the effects of erasure from mainstream narratives caused by unofficial policies. We honor the value of other knowledge systems and we are inspired to action by traditional ecological knowledge, the arts, and the insights gained through science and research and personal experience. Thank you.
Okay, so this first workshop is going to be taking place just over yonder with my business partner Kathleen. It is titled Grapes Grow in Florida. It is going to be a community planting ceremony aimed at reconstructing our idea of where grapes can grow and what is worthy of becoming wine. So I invite you all to meet us over here. And one other quick note, actually,
We're going to be doing this all day. I first want to not only acknowledge the Native people in this land, but the Native people of all lands. I would like to acknowledge our African ancestors that also work this land and have really laid the blocks on which we build up today. I also would like to just preface before we go over here, we're going to be planting some tropical fruit. Grapes do grow in Florida, not this far south. We have a whole map that we are going to share with y'all that kind of explain that and go into the climactic differences between North and Central Florida down to Southern Florida. So don't want to be misleading. Thank you.
Hello, welcome everybody. My name's Kathleen Chari. I'm one third of Cauchay Wine Co. We are a worker-owned wine cooperative up in Fletcher, Vermont, and we make wines out of basically anything but vinifera. We're so far north that vinifera really can't survive or thrive. So we're working with hybrid grapes. We're working with apples because it is so abundant in Vermont, and different herbs and botanicals that grow their flowers. I made a beverage that we're going to try a little bit later with some maple sap. Really, we're trying to ferment anything that can be fermented out in the world. Like I mentioned, we're a worker-owned wine cooperative. We've all kind of worked in the industry. Myself, partner Justine, and we have a third business partner, Grace, who's up in Vermont. Wanted to build something that kind of supported our ethos, and wasn't supporting like kind of a toxic culture that we all kind of worked around, working in kitchens and different parts of the industry. So we formed in a way where it was based on equity, and we try to honor that with everything that we do. So we're going to talk about different things. So when I guess I was asked to do this, I started researching like what to grow down here. I was looking at muscadines mostly, but like Jade briefly mentioned, everyone we spoke to, they were like, they can grow here, but they're not going to thrive. And someone I was speaking to, he was like, well, you could try passion fruit, like that's another vine. And I was like, of course. We're in a place that can survive, we're in a place that can support that kind of vine. So that's what we have right here in the corner. And we'll get to that in a second. But I guess something I wanted to talk about in terms of like, we are here at like a fermentation kind of festival, but I think what Jocelyn here is like looking at the roots of where fermentation came from, as like a human people. For me, or I guess for us as humans, I think something that we need to do is like stay curious about our surroundings. And in terms of evolution, I think that's what brought us further, you know? Someone was walking around and saw a beautiful flower and like smelled it. Someone like saw some herbs and smelled that and tasted that and found that it was good. And that was all through our senses. And I think that's something that we in the wine industry do that a lot. You know, we know how to stop and smell and look at something and really, I guess, find the value in it. And in that way, sorry, I'm getting a little nervous, y'all. You know, but fruits that are coming from this tree is something that can support our bodies. And I don't know my notes. How about that? Or I'm just gonna break into planting and we'll circle back up. So these are, like I mentioned, these are passion fruit picked up from a local supplier. And I pre-dug some holes over here that when you are planting, you should water this a bit. Watch the stains leg, yeah. And we're gonna break up this. Yes.
When you're planting, how deep does the hole have to be in relation to like what you're taking out of the pot and how deep those roots go?
Ideally, we want this to be like kind of flush with where we are with the pot. So this was like, I guess, I don't know, 6 inches or so. And so that's what we wanted the hole to be. So I just broke up the little bowl that it was in, and I'm gonna cover it with some dirt. And tamp it down. Tamping it down is just pressing it down, getting it secure. You don't want air bubbles to be forming under there. And as you can see, this is kind of on the trellis already. And it's a vine, so it needs something to climb.
How closely does that mirror grapes as far as just like the trellising, what the vines look like?
Right, so this, in terms of like trellising, these versus grapes, they need to be pruned just as well. Yeah, I mean, it's different. Wow. I guess I'm taking my time. Thank you, boss. It's similar in that it needs something to thrive on, but it doesn't need to be. There are trellising things that are called like or positions. They're called like vertical shoot positioning. I don't want to get too technical, but this isn't like that. This can be, I think this is more akin to like tomatoes, right? Or hops or something. You can tie this to a root somewhere. Like if you want to like take that root down here, they can find that. It's not going to get like super hard and woody the way grapes do. So it's a little bit more flexible. And yeah, I'm gonna plant the second one right now. And as far as spacing, we want it to kind of want to double their root space, if that makes any sense.
You get more when you double the root space?
Yeah, so it gives it some room for it to grow without really competing with what else is there. And so we're gonna do the same thing, kind of break up the bulb. And stick it in the dirt. Tamp it down a little bit. And if it's not like super even, we can just grab the dirt that is surrounding it and kind of make yeah. Then we're gonna water it with the hose right here. Like most plants, it needs water to survive, it needs sun. And so that's why we chose this spot. It's getting like some full sun. And as far as nutrients, you can throw in some coffee grounds if that's what you have. If you have some grass clippings, that will help sustain it. Everything needs food to grow. And when you're talking about, I guess, organic farming or working with the environment to sustain it, we want to use things that are coming from the area. So compost is usually a thing that people do if you have that, but I feel like coffee grounds is like super accessible for most folks.
And you just put that right on top?
And you can put it right on top. It helps also with aerating the soil. As it breaks down, it will release nitrogen, which is what this plant's really enjoy. Thank you. Yeah. That's the planting section. Yes.
Does it match, like, do you have kind of a rule of thumb of when you water? Because passion fruit is obviously different from like fish or grapes in general. So is there a time? Here it's hella hot, so I imagine that there's an ideal time.
Yeah, usually not in full sun. Usually you want to do it when there's like morning dew or after, like in the evening as the sun has set. You don't really want to plant is really susceptible to scorching, but sometimes if you water during the fullness of the sun, the green parts of the vine will burn, which is not good because obviously we need the green parts, we need the leaves to take in the sun. That is also food for it. You know?
So with our last couple minutes, do you think you can touch on a little bit? So we're in Southern Florida, but we also have folks here from Northern and Central. Just a little bit about what muscadine likes.
Yeah.
And why we couldn't push so far south.
Yeah. So it's a lot, even though we're not so far. Central Florida is the lowest that we could plant muscadines because of the heat that we experience here. It's longer, it's more intense, and some plants just can't take it that way. So muscadines, they grow well in soils that are just like lots of vines. They don't need so much support. They could kind of grow in a rocky place. and still thrive. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Okay. Thank y'all, folks. Any more questions? The nervous wreck?
You were amazing, sweetie.
Thank you so much. So we have wines that y'all are open to pour. We have a panel in another 45 minutes or so. Really encourage you to touch in with some producers. If you have questions for Kathleen, she is the best. And I just also want to mention that everything that we just went over here, as far as caring for the plant, what the plant wants, what it needs to survive, you can take that same information and apply that to vines in general with grapes. So thank you. We have a little children's atlas done by our friend Jim Sly, who runs